Today we're going to get started with setting up a workspace. It's a pretty easy process, not hard to get Octave up and running and to get a good first pass of your library, but the more context you can give at this stage, the better the first pass will be. We'll always have a chance to go back and refine and edit the library, and in fact, you're definitely going to want to. But this is just a pretty easy process to start to give the Octave brain a little bit more context around what your company does, what do you sell, buys from you, why do they buy, things like that. Why don't we just get started? Let's use Stripe as an example. It's a pretty well-known company. People understand generally who they are and what they sell, so we're going to use them as an example here. And we'll just call it Stripe Test for the workspace name. Now it's going to scrape the website, get some information about Stripe. You can also upload more context here. You can upload a URL, some text, a Google Drive file, any file from your computer. This will all be helpful in giving the brain more context as it starts to generate the library for you. So let's just continue with stripe.com as some of the context here. And you don't have to put this. You already put the URL in, but we're just going to re-enter this so you can continue. So now it's going through the process of scraping the website, trying to get as much context as it can around Stripe and who they are and what they sell, and then we'll continue to give it more context throughout this process. As you can see, it does a first pass of the company, the summary, description, capabilities, challenges addressed, and benefits. And what we can do here is look at it, squint to see how does it look to us, is there anything we want to change? But we can go in, you can go directly into the different elements and edit them here. Or you can add a new item if you like these, but want to add more context. Or you can go and directly chat with Octave itself. And let's say we want to make this more about the benefits or financial reporting. I don't know. Something. This may not be important in this case, but let's see, we can toggle this show changes button on at the top, and it makes some changes here. Let's reject these because this was just an example, but you can do that by section to, again, start to give it more context. And the general rule of thumb is take a look, read through it. The brain will try to do a good first pass, but you will know your product and your company better than we can. So definitely go ahead and try to edit where you think is necessary. Anything that looks off, you should definitely take the final pen to it. But let's say we're happy with all these sections and we continue. Now we going to want to talk about the personas and the primary buyers for this product. So the general rule of thumb here is to add a new persona when there is a persona or buyer that you would message to in a meaningfully different way. For instance, if you're going to talk to any technology leader the same way, then you don't really need to distinguish between chief technology officer or VP of technology or role-based distinctions like that. If you generally just want to talk to a technology leader, definitely talk to them. That being said, if the way you would message to a chief technology officer is meaningfully different from the way you would message to a VP of technology, then definitely make sure to create different personas. That's just the general rule of thumb. It can be a title in the sense of chief operating officer or VP of engineering or something like that, or it can be a little bit more generalized than that and be financial leader, something like that, to cover a whole range of different finance professionals. So let's just select a few here to begin with. As you can see, you can generate more suggestions if you think there are others that are missing and continue to do that, or add your own custom personas here. So definitely make sure to take the time to think through who are the different buying personas and how many do we meaningfully message to in a different way, and go ahead and continue from there. And then here's where we go through and talk about what the primary use cases are from the product. As you can see, there's an attempt here to list out some of the ones that it thinks are use cases from Stripe. And again, be sure if there are more that you need to add, make sure to add them. See if there are any else that you think are missing. But definitely make sure to go through here and really give the Octave brain a good sense of what your use cases are and what you sell. Here's where we can add a little bit more color around what's the differentiated value that your product brings, and what is the status quo today? What are your customers doing today? And why would they want to choose your product? Obviously, you can either go ahead and generate a suggestion here that it can talk through. If it helps you get over the blank page fear and get something on paper, that can be helpful. But again, best practice is to always look through, edit the output, and make sure it fits with what you know about the company, because these first passes are always pretty good, but you're definitely going to have more context around what should be the correct answer here. Let's just run with these generated values for now, but highly recommend going through and editing them. But this gives you an idea for an ideal output in terms of size and scope and specificity for what you'll want to give the system so it can fully create the library. Now that we're ready, we'll hit finish setup, and it's going to go ahead and create all the different library elements, which you will become familiar with once it's created. And obviously in the subsequent videos, we'll talk through a lot of those different elements. Great. So as you can see, we've been able to set up a workspace. You can go ahead and invite different team members that you want to be a part of this. You can designate them as an owner or a member. Go from there. So why don't we go check out the workspace, see what it's created, and or in subsequent videos we'll go through how to go ahead and refine and put the library to use. But we can see now the first pass of what's been created. Let's explore the library first. As you can see, it's done a good job of spitting out a company description, listing the products, the personas, the use cases. Now, as you can see, we'll have a lot more context to add and to build out now, really to give the system as much context as possible. But that's all for now. So you've officially set up a workspace within Octave.